Life, Fisheries and Parks. Thank everyone for coming. So first, I'll ask Rush Wallace to open us in prayer.
Pray with me, please. Father God, we thank you for the day, for the blessings that you give us, God, for this time together. We come today to see about the business of the creation that you've given us. God, I pray that the decisions made here today would be honoring and pleasing to you. God, that we would just leave this place. You would keep us safe, and give us traveling mercy and grace. God, we thank you for loving us. We thank you for Jesus and all these things. We pray in his name. Amen.
Thank you, Russ. So I want to remind everybody that this is being live streamed. So this goes out around the world. So whatever you say will be permanently etched in digital history. So that's all good. So it's we believe in transparency and want the public to know and be able to comment on everything we do. We do have some guests here, and there may be some others. If you don't mind, raise your hand or stand when I mention you. We have Senator Chuck Younger. Appreciate you being here, and we appreciate legislature's support. Thank you. We have John Kinsey with Texas Department of Parks and Wildlife in the back as a guest. Thank you for being here. And we have several with U.S. Forest Service. And forgive me if y'all would stand, please. And if I mispronounce your names, forgive me. But is it Shannon Kilardi?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good to have you. Tommy Bolton. Okay. Mike McDonald's. McDonald's son. Okay. So we appreciate U.S. Forest Service and your just the relationship with the department. And then Kristen Wyndham with the Governor's Office. Kristen, thank you for being here. Anybody else, any other guests that we're missing? Okay, great. Well, thank all for being here. So the first order of business is the minutes of the March 16th meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I have read the minutes and I move that be approved as read.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, great. Jason Thompson.
Well, you gonna do the agenda?
Today's agenda, sorry. Jason, come on up while we're doing that. So today's agenda has been published and set forth. Are there any changes or additions? And we have some public comments. Any new public comments besides Davey Murrah?
No, sir, we don't have any at this time.
Okay. All right. So motion. Okay.
And I'll second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve this agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. All right, Jason, you got a good report for us, we hope?
Another good report. So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, for the month of March, our revenue was up over $232,000 compared to last year. Resident license sales are up 1%. The WMA permit sales up 3%. Senior exempt up 10%. Duck stamp 7%. The all-game apprentice license up 5%, and 3-day freshwater fishing was up 2% from last year. Non-resident license sales are up 4%. That's $396,000 more than last year. Revenue from the non-resident turkey permits are up $124,000. The all-game and the 7-day all-game license are up 5%, and the 3-day license sales are up 7%. Our permit category is down 1%, and lifetime licenses are down 6% compared to FY21. The bottom of the summary report, the WMA app downloads for FY22, 12,849. That's 9,762 iOS users, 3,087 Android users, 50,295 have set up for auto renewal this year. And license packages, 26,049 sold this year compared to 21,580 last year. Questions?
So that automatic renewal is just through March, so we still got April, May, June, and 3 more months to.
That's correct, just through March.
You feel good we'll get up to at least 60,000 again?
Oh, yeah,
Over that?
60,000, over 60,000.
Oh, that's a great deal. That automatic is money in the bank.
That's the way to go.
That's right.
Easy to set up.
Were there any, any license fee increases that we had over this last year? Got some packages and things?
Yeah, those 3 non-resident privileges, I think the 3-day, 7-day, and the non-resident spring turkey permit,
Yeah.
that we did an increase October the 1st on those. So that's why the non-resident revenue is so high.
The non-resident turkey revenue, turkey permit revenue is up. Were there more numbers of licenses or just the revenue?
Just the revenue.
Okay.
So slightly behind last year's total in terms of quantity sold.
Okay. That's great. Any more questions for Jason?
Jason, the 1,000 permits that we allowed, it was like 800 and some odd that was actually taken for the non-residents?
Yes, I can't remember the exact number, but I know it was
Something
over
in that
800.
neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
So now, public comments, Davey Murrah, for Pascagoula WMA.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you for having me. As you already mentioned, I spoke last September. You guys listened to me and took me seriously, and I appreciate that. As a result of that, when I came here last September, I was here basically to complain about what I considered the lack of maintenance and maybe even outright neglect of the Pascagoula River Wildlife Management Area. As I said, you guys took me seriously. Dr. Polis, that was sitting in that chair at the time, took me seriously, and he promised that he would set up an outside meeting to further discuss the situation. He did. We held said meeting on the Josephine Sandbar in the heart of the PRWMA on October 28th. I appreciate the follow-through. The attendees were Mr. Posey, Mr. Pugh, Russ, Amy, Senator Mike Seymour, and myself. We discussed a wide range of subjects. I actually met on that sandbar, stood out on that sand for 2 hours. Appreciate it very much. One of the subjects we discussed that I brought up that I want to discuss today was the area manager for the northern half of the WMA. Now, of course, a lot of people are going to say, why in the world you need two area managers for one WMA? And that's a legitimate question. Plain and simply because the PRWMA is far and away the largest state-owned WMA in the state, both by acreage and by usage. If you divided the PRWMA into 2 equal parts, they would be number 1 and number 2 on the list of state-owned WMAs by acreage and by usage. So, and there used to be 2 area managers. There haven't been for over 10 years. I live within sight, literally, of the George County headquarters building, which has been abandoned for a little over a decade. I brought all this up in the meeting and we discussed it, and I went through what I thought were the key requirements or traits of the area manager that we would like to see hired there. Number 1 being a passion for the swamp, because let's face it, the job doesn't pay very much. And if someone's going to really put their heart and soul into it, it's only going to be because they have a passion for the swamp. It also needs to be someone who is well known in the community and knows the community and is respected in the community, because you have a real serious public relations problem in that area. I also said I understand that there are budgetary issues and maybe you didn't have the budget or whatever. I was told in that meeting that budget was not an issue, that a PIN number for that position was not an issue, that the only issue was finding someone that was qualified for that position that was willing to do it for that kind of a paycheck. And I was told that the position was about to be advertised on the Mississippi State Personnel Board website, and sure enough, it was. About a week or so later, it went up. I don't know how many people applied. I've heard that quite a few people applied, but I don't know that for a fact.
Hey Doug, hit pause just a second if you don't mind. You got 1 minute left, Davey, so
You
what's
don't-
the ask? That's what we
Okay.
need to, that's what we need to know.
Okay. I know that there were applicants approved by the Mississippi State Personnel Board, and yet no one was hired. And what I really want to know is if you have an approved applicant who is willing to take that job for that lower pay, then why weren't the promises that were made on that sandbar followed through with and someone hired for that position? And I know for a fact no one has been.
We appreciate your comments. Personnel matters obviously are confidential, but we appreciate your comments, and we'll take them under advisement, and we'll definitely talk to the staff.
And
see.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, I want also known that I believe that's my area that I represent as commissioner. And I do have concerns of the same. If we have an open pen and there's no budgetary issue, then we do need to fill that position, because it is a large management area down there, and it's a very unique one in the whole United States of America is what it
Yes.
is. And so just for the record, you know, I do have concern, and we need to, unless there's something I'm not seeing, move forward with trying to put somebody in that position.
Yeah, David, thanks for coming, and we will discuss it in executive session when we, on personnel matters stuff.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you,
We
Dave.
appreciate it. Thanks for your passion and comments
He's
on it.
got passion for that.
We appreciate, folks that love WMAs like that. It's so great to see. All right, Russ Walsh, Wildlife.
I think it's
Ricky Flint.
Ricky.
So you have before you today for final approval, admin rules 5.2, private lands alligator season, 5.3, public water alligator season, and 5.4, Pelahatchie Bay alligator season for 2023. I've received no official comments from the public, though I've had quite a bit of unofficial comment through phone calls and personal interaction, and nothing on 5.2 or 5.3, overwhelmingly very positive comments about 5.4 for Pelahatchie Bay alligator season to follow up in May of 2023.
We have a motion
Motion.
for that. Motion's made.
Well, let me back up. That's the mayor's area, I think, so he probably needs to make
Oh,
that.
it doesn't matter.
Okay, thank you. I'll make the motion.
You can second it.
Second.
All right. Motion's made and seconded to accept all three on the alligator season.
2, 3, and 4.
Any further discussion?
Right.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks.
Thank you,
That's
gentlemen.
great. I think people in Pelahatchie Bay seem very excited about that.
Yes, they are. Thank y'all.
Good proposal you guys came up with. Really good. Houston Havens, migratory framework.
Where the ducks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have in your packet recommended season dates for migratory game birds for the 2022-23 season. And, Mr. Chairman, I'll just briefly go through these, and if there are any specific questions, we can take those, or however you'd like to do that. Starting with the mourning dove, we have a north zone and south zone in the state. Our priority is to, of course, use the maximum allotted days within the federal framework, and then also provide that Labor Day weekend and holiday opportunity in both zones, and then spread the rest of those days out across the remainder of the season, ending on the latest date possible, January 31st. So you see those two different zones there with a little bit of differences with the days kind of in the middle of the season.
Question,
Yes, sir.
the south zone and the north zone would the second split was a little, tell me the rationale behind that.
The south zone was, that one has been in place, basically just moving the days with the days of the week, so we, kind of maximize the weekends. With the north zone, we did have some public comments about moving some days around Thanksgiving holidays, and so we did do a little bit of that. And then the most comments that we received were, can we go all the way to the end of January in that north zone? We did a couple of years where we ended on about the 15th there in mid-January. Some people wanted to go all the way to the end there. So understand that they are the same opening and closing dates, but like you said, that middle zone or middle split there is the main difference between those two zones.
In the north zone, the first season goes from September 3rd to October 14th. People like that. That's
Yes,
really
sir.
been good.
Yes, sir. And, like we were talking in the hall, most of or about 90% of our dove hunting activity is going to be in those first 2 weekends, so that is definitely a
Right.
priority to have it open in both zones then. All right, with Canada geese, during the early season, we just took the maximum number of days there, September 1st through September 30th. That has a 5-bird bag limit all month. That season is just targeted at trying to reduce the number of resident birds that we get a lot of calls about in the office. For the teal season, we have a maximum of 16 consecutive days that we can use there, and so that was our recommendation. We then take those 16 days and maximize, basically go in 3 straight weekends, and so that's why the September 10th through the 25th dates are recommended there.
Houston, I've got a question,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman, on the duck, the regular large duck, big duck season.
Mhm.
Educate me and maybe some other people because we get a lot of calls, well, I get a lot of calls, I'm sure y'all do. How is the framework set for the actual big duck season? Does the feds give us a time period? How does all that work?
Yes, sir. So they give us time period for both beginning date and ending date.
And what is that?
Let's see, the beginning date is in early September.
And the
September
end of
24th
January.
is the earliest that it could open. Of course, that's, for more northern portions of the flyway,
Yeah.
they definitely use that front
All right,
end.
September 24th is a start.
Yes, sir.
All right,
We have a maximum of 60 days, and we can do that in 3 different season segments. And so, and then, of course, the ending date, the maximum latest we can go is January 31st in federal frameworks.
January 31st.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a change. It used to be the last weekend, and then. we changed
It used to be last
to
Sunday in January now, and we got it moved back to the 31st.
And that's federally mandated by Congress.
Yes, sir.
60 days.
And-
End of January.
And is there an effort among the southern states, a lobbying effort possibly with Congress to even give us a more of a later stop date?
Yeah.
Because I think, I've heard duck hunters say that they will give up, if they can just hunt late. That's the main thing, so.
Yes, sir. That's a good point there. And so that there was an effort a few years ago, like Mr. Coster said, we had to end on the last Sunday. No matter what date in January that fell, that was always the last day that we could hunt during.
All states do that, or do we have exceptions? Does California go in February or something like that?
There are no states that have duck seasons that go into February, so January 31st, so across all flyways, that is the maximum latest.
How do we get to do the youth time?
That is the exception, it's built into the.
The youth and veterans,
Veteran.
were able to do it the next week.
Yes, sir. So Mississippi led the effort several years ago to try to get that change made where we could go to January 31st, because the years where it was closing, the last Sunday was on, say, January 25th, that's significant to a state like ours where, we're giving up 6 days basically at the end of the month there. And so that's where that push came from. We were successful to do that several years ago, and that's why we've selected January 31st every time
That's
since
what we
then.
just started, third person back up.
Yeah, I want to commend our department in Houston. They led the Mississippi Flyway Council that year and got the Mississippi Flyway to vote for it. And all the other flyways, some opposed before that. They voted for it. Cindy Hyde-Smith had introduced a bill, so it was literally an act of Congress. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife was maybe not for it at first, and they came around.
That's right.
Now, whether to go into February, biologists generally say, U.S. Fish and Wildlife said, that, birds are more paired at that time, and that's why there's a resistance against moving it later. Now, granted, climate has shifted later, maybe.
Yes, sir.
So, I don't know.
Yes, sir. And through the data that we collect through our aerial waterfowl surveys, we typically see, most years we see a peak in early January and then a slight reduction, heading into the late season. Late January is still very important for Mississippi duck hunters, no doubt. But we have flown a couple of surveys in the past in early February just to look at how things changed. One of the biggest things we knew changed, but we actually saw it when we did the survey, was a great reduction in habitat. You think about all the agricultural land out there that's providing winter habitat. As soon as the duck season ends, they're getting ready. They're into farming mode, of course. We want to get that water off pretty quickly. And that's what we saw from the survey, a large reduction in habitat availability and birds using the area. Any other questions on the duck season? Okay, we'll go back up to rails and gallinules just to cover those. Split that into basically an early and a late season, September 1st through October 7th, and then skipping over, starting back up November 25th to January 1st. The stipe season is basically the same dates every year. We just push those days available to us as late as possible, so those are November 14th through February 28th. Same with the woodcock season. We go as late as possible with those days and set those at December 18th to January 31st. So we covered the ducks and coots and the gansers. We'll go to the youth, veteran, and active military waterfowl days. We do have some flexibility in those where we can either go before the season or after the season, and you can include them on weekends, basically within 2 weeks of your duck season opening or closing. So we typically do use that first weekend in February. This year that would be February 4th and 5th for those days, and we run those at the same time with the veteran and active military days with the youth days.
Has the comments been positive about we move to the whole weekend, doing those 2 days together?
There have been some positive comments. Some people preferred it the other way, but it really was split about down the middle. Some people like, just because of, weather, can be, spreading them out and having one before the season, one after the season. Some people like just, having that potential there. But others, like you said, did like being able to hunt 2 days, go up to a hunting camp and stay the entire weekend and get those days in.
In particular with youth, if you get them up to a camp, sometimes 2
Sure.
days in a row,
Yes.
gave more opportunities. So, but the comments are about split, huh?
Yes. And then lastly, with the goose seasons, we have proposed an opener of November 11th, go through November 27th, and then basically start to sync up with the duck season from there on and go December 2nd through December 2nd through December 4th, and then the remainder of the season being December 9th through January 31st.
And they still have the special order.
Conservation order, yes, sir. We fill in, conservation order can only be open when there are no other waterfowl seasons
Right.
occurring, and so we just fill in those days with the conservation order.
Okay. Any other questions? We have a motion to accept the migratory framework. Okay, motion is made and seconded. Any opposed? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. A few more things on our agenda, Mr. Chairman. One pertaining to the whitetail deer season and then WMAs. So House Bill 1035 that passed and was signed by the governor authorized a velvet season in September. So we need to amend the whitetail deer season, hunting season and bag limit rule to reflect that statutory change to allow that velvet season in September. So I believe on page 5 of your packet there, you will see the frameworks that we would propose to you for inclusion in Rule 2.2. And I'll go through those just line by line if you'd like to have any questions. So in House Bill 1035, it authorized that the season would fall between September 10th and 20th. would be less than a 3-day season. So our proposal would be that it be a consecutive Friday, Saturday, and Sunday between those dates. And for 2022, that would actually be September 16th, 17th, and 18th. It would be archery only, and crossbows, and it may only be legal bucks for the respective zones. So the deer management, the deer management units that we have would be legal bucks for those units. It'd be a 1 buck bag limit, which would count towards your annual bag limit. Hunters must report their harvest. This is actually part of the House bill. They must report their harvest, and that is already, because we have Game Check, and Game Check was established for wild turkeys, we went ahead and created the option for white-tailed deer. So this is already in place electronically on the app as well as the web portal. So there's nothing for us to do here. It is already ready to go. So that would be a requirement that it's reported by 10 p.m. the day of harvest, basically the same as turkey season. All hunters must have a permit. So again, this was also part of the bill that authorizes the commission to establish a velvet season permit. So we would offer to you that a velvet season permit be created for residents for the cost of $10. And I'll get to the non-residents here in the second part of this. But it would be a permit established for residents for a cost of $10. And then harvested bucks would be submitted for Cwd samples across the state. And we already have the structure in place there for whether it be WMAs or on private lands. We already have the freezers established across the state. We'll probably look at adding some more for this coming season, but that structure is already there in place. So that would be it. That would be the proposals to amend Rule 2.2 to include this velvet season beginning this year. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question.
Good.
And the colonel might have to help. Velvet and how, on the measurements, how are they going to be, how's that going to be calculated when in the field by the conservation officers? Where it says it has to be specific to the area,
Right.
15 inch or whatever it is.
Right.
How Colonel, I know you probably hadn't had time to, but I mean, those measurements are gonna change when velvets pull off and, you know, in the field, you measure it, he might be 15-inch main beam or whatever the law is, but by the time you get him to the truck, the velvet is torn off and he ends up being 14 and a half or 14 and 3/4 or 13, I don't know. So that's going to be something that we need to communicate with our conservation officers and ask them to help probably use as much common sense as we can, because it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I certainly think there'd be some grace there, given the circumstances.
Russ, question, if, under the House bill, if in the future we wanted to, say in the CWD management zone, have the buck not count towards their buck limit, is that possible within the House framework?
There's a flexibility to do that, yeah.
But staff, you're not recommending anything now?
No,
Different CWD management zones, just do it.
Yeah, I think we've already amended, you know, certainly in the North Management Zone, the bag limits already been fairly liberalized there. So being that we did that last year. So I think there's plenty of opportunity there for harvest, for bag limits. But if it looks like, you know, we need to increase that or amend that, we certainly can do that.
Right, I just wonder if the House bill, the bill that was signed, if it does allow that in the future, so we just see how it goes this year and see if we got it. Okay, great.
Educate me a little bit, Mr. Bill. If I'm hunting in your backyard in Tallahatchie County, how many bucks can I kill?
3.
3. But I thought, then you can kill more antlers? Isn't that a,
I think it counts as one of your 3 if you kill one.
I know, but didn't y'all just say that y'all had upped the bag limits?
So for the North Central Deer Management Unit, which is Benton, Marshall County area.
Okay, that's Benton Marshall, that's not
That's right.
Tallahatchie.
That's
Okay.
right.
Benton Marshall.
How many can we kill in Benton, Marshall County?
So it's 5 bucks and 10 does.
Okay.
$5.
And that was all in an effort to increase harvest.
Kill them all.
Okay.
Shoot them all.
Do you have any more questions on that? Do you have a motion?
No, we ain't gonna do it now.
No.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
All right, the next item, it goes along with that. This would be Rule 8.4, which is the non-resident hunting and fishing license program. So there's already a requirement for non-residents to have a deer permit. Is it?
We're gonna buy it before, where are we now?
It may not,
It's probably not in there.
it may not be in there. Okay.
It is recommended the WMA change it.
No.
All right. So, sorry about that. So, this will go back to the velvet season discussion. So in Rule 2.2, we'll establish the resident permit. There's already a requirement for a non-resident to have a deer permit along with their hunting license, and the cost of that deer permit is $5. Given that we're adding the velvet season, and then in this past spring, we increased the cost of the non-resident spring turkey permit, we would offer in Rule 8.4 to increase the cost of the non-resident deer permit, and that would be $50 to be in line with the spring turkey permit and be inclusive of now the velvet season that would be offered for non-residents as well. So we would increase the cost of the non-resident deer permit from $5 to $50 and then establish the resident permit for a cost of $10.
Okay.
So we-
Sounds like a good plan.
So I ask you to adopt the proposed change to Rule 8.4, which is the non-resident hunting and fishing license rule.
Okay, we got a motion. Commissioner Rhodes? No second?
I'll second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I know we passed the motion. Can I back up to
Yes,
the
sir.
resident fee?
$10.
What was the, since you're younger, do you know what the intent was, as far as you don't? Okay. I got you.
Go ahead and ask me, though, I don't think I will.
I was wondering if you knew, was the legislative intent for us to charge more even on the resident permit fee for the velvet antlers, or do you know?
I do not know.
Okay. Somebody had mentioned that to me, and I thought about it.
I discussed with Russ before, and I think the concept is residents already paying for licenses and not to be a big extra expense. But non-residents come from out of the state, it's a unique opportunity.
Right.
And to package it together.
I think you could have charged the non-residents a lot more than $50 though.
Yeah, what's Alabama's compared to ours? Is it the same, or?
Yeah.
Well, they
They don't have a velvet season.
Right.
In Alabama.
What about just their, if they come over here to hunt on us, what do we pay to go over there?
I'm not sure. Jason, you know what the cost of I don't know what the cost of Alabama license is.
I think it ought to be, the same.
We've always tried to do that.
Alabama has, you can do a 3-day license for $143. And for a 3-day season, you can do a 7-day for, it's like $232, or you can do an all season, and it's like $350.
Which ours is comparable to.
Which includes deer, whatever, for the all season, or you do, they have 3-day deals if you do a 3-day hunt. It includes deer, turkey, or whatever. So they don't have a deer permit separate. Yeah. So I guess, is that comparable to our out of state?
Yeah.
I just looked at that recently, so I saw those numbers. Okay, we voted yet?
We did 8.4.
All right. Okay.
The WMA regs.
Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, there's a good bit here, so I'll be glad to take it whatever pace you all choose. I can hit the major changes and high points, or we can go through line by line. You kind of
We've read it. We've read it, so why don't you just tell us what you think is most important?
Okay, I'll do that. Let's start on page 2 there. This is going to be your summary there. Should be page 2 in your big packet there. Flip back. It's going to be the summary of all the changes.
Russ, where is it located there? We're starting on page 9.
Go back
Tab
to
five.
Tab 5.
page, should be page 2.
And back up to the front of it. then.
Recommended changes.
Right, yeah, it should be right there.
Page 2.
Go to the next page.
Everybody there? All right, under first subheading there is basic regulations. So a couple of things under basic regulations, one of those being CWD sampling. So we would offer to require CWD sampling if there's a WMA inside of a CWD management zone, and if an antlerless deer is killed on that WMA, then it is deposited for CWD testing. We're already doing this on a few WMAs, but this would make it to where all WMAs that are included in a zone, if you kill an antlerless deer, it'd be dropped off in a freezer at that WMA or a location of your choosing on your way home, as long as it's in the CWD zone. Again, we're already doing this on places like Mahana and Phil Bryant WMAs. Second one there under WMA, or basic WMA regs would be waterfowl draw hunt procedures. Some things are in rule as it pertains to WMAs, but there are kind of procedures to the draw hunts for WMAs that have them, particularly as it pertains to standby. Those are not in rule, and so some of those things are not necessarily enforceable because they're not anywhere in any type of codified anywhere. So our offer here is to provide language in the basic regulations that say all posted waterfowl draw hunt procedures and rules will be enforced. And then we want to come back to you with those procedures prior to the season for adoption, and basically by default they would be included in the rule, so that if there's any issues on, let's take for Mahana for instance, if there are issues there's the procedures that are not being followed, which we encounter every year. Those are difficult to enforce because they're not in a rule anywhere. This would allow us to basically include them in the rule, and if there's a law enforcement issue there on the WMA that needs to be handled, then we have a way to do that. But we would bring those procedures back to you prior to the season for review and for adoption. This particular language would just mean that those adopted procedures will be enforced. And it would be very difficult to add them to all of the all of the regulations because they're big and broad, and that would make them a little bit cumbersome. So, fair enough.
Russ, I want to back up when you get a second to the CWD sampling.
Sure.
What do we do when we find a CWD sample in Leaf River, for instance? What's our plan?
So in the management plan that's in place today, then that particular deer would be Perry County. So for sure, Perry County would now be an established CWD management zone. And if that deer is, if there's any counties that are within 10 miles of that positive, they would also be included in that CWD management zone. So for instance, it could be Perry and George County, for instance, or Perry and Forest County, depending on where that deer may be found. So now we'll have a newly established CWD management zone, and then the rules and regulations would apply. There'd be carcass transportation rules that apply, no supplemental feeding rule would apply, so that it would be a newly established zone.
How do we fix it though? What's the process? I know we put all these regulations in place, but what's going to fix the CWD from, how are we going to fix the deer?
Well, there's, unfortunately, there is no surefire fix for CWD. That's the sad part about the disease. It's not a flash in the pan disease like blue tongue, for instance. It comes and goes. This is a disease that there's no vaccine, there's no cure for. So we have to utilize the measures that we can to keep it from spreading. That's harvesting deer. That's engaging hunters and hopefully they stay hunters and keep on harvesting deer. That's things like no carcass transportation, trying to keep it from spreading. Supplemental feeding, trying to keep from unnaturally concentrating those deer.
But at what point do we say calf rope, hey, we think we got it under control and we move it back to a normal hunting area like it's been for years?
There's a few cases across the country where you caught it very early and they have not found it since. But I think that there's a number of years that go by with adequate sampling before we can ever get to the point where we say, okay, we may have caught it early on and that's the only deer here. But that's going to require adequate sampling. And a couple examples, where time itself gives us that false impression. Let's go to Warren County, for instance. Warren County has been part of the CWD management zone because of Issaquah County.
Right.
That county's been in the zone for 4 years now. We haven't found a positive there. And then this year, we had 2 positives there. And we're looking at a property there that's now, if you look at the sampling for this year, it's a 5% prevalence. So we've done sampling for these 4 years, and then this year, it's on us. There's other states that have seen the same thing, where West Virginia and Virginia are cases where they found some positives, they rocked along for several years, nothing was turning up. They thought, okay, maybe we got it early on, and then in year 4, year 5, they're looking at multiple positive deer, and prevalence is on the increase. So time itself, again, you rock along 3 or 4 years, you think, oh, we're okay, and then year 4, year 5, there you are.
Do the biologists think that CWD's been in the state for just 4, 5, 6 years, or has it
Well,
been here
we-
for 25?
We don't know. Tennessee, looking at the prevalence that they have and the number of deer they have, it's been there quite a while. It's probably been in North Mississippi for quite a while. How long? We don't know.
I got you. Okay. Thank you.
All right. The next one I'll hit is, let's go down to, again, I'm just going to hit the high points here. Let's go down to deer regulations. And from Muscadine and Howard Miller WMAs, you'll see there towards the bottom of your page. So Muscadine and Howard Miller historically are waterfowl, primarily waterfowl areas. But we do have a couple of units on those areas that are not waterfowl hunted. So we're proposing this year, excuse me, to offer youth deer hunting there. There would be youth draw hunts in December, early January timeframe, or through late January timeframe. So this will be another opportunity that we can provide for youth on areas that historically have not had any deer hunting, and would be, especially in the case of Muscadine, there's a larger area there would be very good deer hunting. So we would offer those youth deer hunt opportunities on those 2 WMAs for this year. All right, flipping the page, page 3. You'll see under hogs there, there's several WMAs in the south part of the state where there's multiple WMAs across the state that have hog hunting opportunities with dogs late in the season, usually in the February timeframe. And some of these WMAs, it's gone through March 3rd. We are wanting to amend that to go to February 28th, which is every other WMA in the state that has hog hunting opportunity. It ends on February 28th. So this will be in an effort to standardize the hog dates across the state and end on February 28th.
So what are you taking is 3 days away?
That's right, standardizing that. The next one down, just under Yakanukanee, you'll see under language clarification. There's a 10-acre section that is across Highway 12 as part of Yakanukanee WMA. We are proposing to close that 10 acres to hunting. It's surrounded by homes and provide somewhat of a safety issue there. So there'll only be 10 acres that will be not accessible for hunting there on that WMA.
Now, so we're taking land away from the public hunter, is what you're telling me?
The only 10 acres there would not be open for hunting, given the houses and
Because of a safety issue.
That's right, safety issue.
We just backed away from the same safety issue up at McIntyre Scatters. I mean, we need to be consistent if we're gonna.
There's no houses around back in
Do what
our
now?
scatters. There's no houses there. It's a whole different deal.
Well, it's out of the 10 acres.
It's
Do you
a
know how much
safety issue.
private land is included in that 10 acres that you're taking?
Surrounded by private land. So it's just a little 10 acre block surrounded by private land across Highway 12. It's not contiguous with the WMA.
Senator got it.
It's isolated.
Senator Younger, you have a question?
If you're not gonna hunt it, why don't you sell it back to the private?
Well, it's a whole other issue. Which I don't know, Drew can say, but if it's land that's been given through land and water, federal land, you may not have the authority to do that.
We'd have to look at it and see exactly how we purchase it, what funds, and if we would have to replace it with additional acreage somewhere else. So it's not as easy as it sounds, just sell it back. There's a lot.
Nothing is.
Yeah, a lot that goes into it.
Informally, I've had the discussions about taking the farmer's land and seeing about leasing it. That's a conversation you and I had.
Yes, sir.
I've had that informal discussion and
Because
learning
the
about it.
farmer does more for wildlife than all your biologists and all your game wardens put together.
No, we love farming. We love farming.
I don't love farming, but I'm just telling
No,
you, farmers do more for wildlife than anything.
I agree with that.
We all agree. That's great.
I totally agree with that.
Guess I should say thanks.
Yeah.
You damn sure should.
All right, page 4. Small game regulations. The big one here would be Charles Ray Nix. So we've been managing Charles Ray Nix intensively since around 2006, 2007, and there's not been a quail season there, and so we would offer to propose an opening quail season there this year for limited time. It would basically be several blocks of time that we would open up quail season there and provide that opportunity that we have not provided since beginning management on this WMA, again, back in around 2007. And you can see there, I believe it's on page 17 or 18, the dates that we propose beginning in November, a few blocks in November, and then from the January 7th to February 19th timeframe, roughly 62 days of opportunity there out of a little over a 100-day season. Also, the next one down would be Riverfront WMA. So we have not provided any small game opportunity there historically. We would propose opening Riverfront WMA to small game hunting in January and February. Provide that opportunity again for hunters there. Next.
I need to back up, Mr. Chairman, if that's okay.
Let's let Russ finish, and we'll come back.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have questions for sure.
All right. Turkey season regulations, next one down there. Primary one here would be Old River WMA. So over the past several seasons, this area has been flooded by the Pearl River on a repeated basis. And prior to that, of course, this area has always experienced flooding. But following Hurricane Katrina and the habitat that was damaged there, the timber that was damaged there, and then the flooding that we've had, turkeys have really taken it on the chin on this WMA. And so we propose closing the season for this area until we can monitor that population and see that it's rebounded enough to where turkey season can be reopened. We've already done this on several WMAs in the Delta, and this will be following suit with that.
Which commission district is Old River in?
Mine.
Commissioner
Okay.
Vance.
Just want to make sure you over that.
All right, Mr. Chairman, that'll be fine. If you've got questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
Okay. Commissioner Bentz.
Language clarification, ORVs, ATVs, rules 1.10 and 1.21, Lake George Shiplin, delete ATV, trail wording to clarify there are no trails.
Yes, sir. So there are no designated ATV trails on those WMAs. The language says that in the regulations, it implies that there are ATV trails, and there are none. And so we don't want to give the false assumption or false impression to the hunters there that there's ATV trails that they can ride on.
Has there ever been trails over there?
There's been some on Lake George, but those have been kind of decommissioned, or basically they were created trails over the years by hunters, but they're really not designated ATV trails. And there's only one primary road going through Shiplin WMA, and you can use your ATV on that road, but there's no ATV trails on those WMAs. And both of those areas are from an access standpoint, given the flooding that they endure, it's very difficult to maintain any kind of ATV access just because of the flooding and as well as the damage that ATVs can cause. And maintain them is very difficult.
So, just clarification, so all these rules, say, if we vote for all these, they go out for 30-day public comment. So if the public has concerns, we could hear about those, and we could come back and amend some of these, like some of the questions you have, Leonard.
Okay.
All right, Russ, does that summarize everything pretty well?
Yes, sir, that's all the major changes for WMA rigs.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll move the staff recommendation.
Okay, we have a second? Second. Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Aye, 4-1, the motion carries. And again, there's be public comment, so we welcome the public to comment if there are any specifics within all these changes that we should address.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Russ. All right, Jerry Brown, Fisheries.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Fisheries has two changes to propose this morning. In your booklet behind number 6, we will have proposed changes to Rule 1.3. This is our sport fishing regulations. Basically, this is some clarifications and to be consistent with our commercial fishing rule that we brought forward to you a few months ago. The first one clarifies that it's illegal to set trot lines that extend more than halfway across a stream, channel, drain, or body of water. That's to be consistent with our commercial fishing rule. The next one is clarifies that no more than 2 artificial lures can be used in spillways where hook restrictions are in place. These are like at Arca Butler, Grenada, Sardis, Enid, Ross Barnett, Okeechobee, and the spillway part. We have restrictions just in that primary spillway until where the rip route ends that you can't use no more than 2 single hooks. So this clarifies that someone can't put 3 or 4 crappie jigs or something like that on there, and it'll help for our law enforcement and clear that up for the anglers. C there under crawfish and shrimp just adds that puddle nets and lift nets are allowed for catching crawfish. I did have to call and ask what a puddle net was, I'll admit, but puddle nets and lift nets are the same thing. So just says they are allowed to catch crawfish. And then under section F adds that written permission is needed to run someone else's fishing gear. It is illegal to run, based on rules, someone else's fishing gear. But if that person cannot do it, instead of letting the nets and things sit out there and the fish die, they could give somebody written permission. That would help our law enforcement officers as well. So that is all the changes for Rule 1.3. I believe we need to vote on these separately.
I move staff recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, the next one is Rule 2.1. This is our state fishing lake regulations. The only change that we're going to make this year, or we propose to make this year, is to change the waterfowl hunting days at Lake Oklahoma, which is located just east of Laurel on off of Highway 84. It sets the waterfowl hunting days to Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and shooting time will end at noon. This will be consistent with the one other state fishing lake we allow hunting at, which is at Neshoba. Also be consistent with a lot of our WMAs. The request actually came from through our law enforcement bureau and a lot of the hunters down there. Instead of allowing 7 days, dusk to dawn, shooting time, give the birds a break, and for safety, since this is a state fishing lake where a lot of people are fishing as well. So that's why that request was changed, and we spoke with Wildlife, with Houston and Darren to get some ideas, and this is a staff's recommendation.
So what are we doing now, before this rule's set in motion, what are we doing right now?
Right now, it's open any time waterfowl hunting is allowed, just like if it was on your private property. So from legal shooting hours until it ends, 7 days a week.
So we're taking another opportunity away from the hunter.
We are going back to what I believe, before I became the state lake coordinator, we have started this, and we had limited limits at that facility. Our lake manager, you may know Danny Evans down there, he retired, and we went a couple of years without staff there. And we made the decision to open it up to help us out, because we didn't have people there to check in people and all that. And so this request again came from hunters, I don't know if it's how many hunters, to our law enforcement bureau, and our law enforcement bureau is down there and requested it. So whether we get negative comments, there may be some.
It sounds like the hunters would rather have more limited times to have better opportunity. And when
That,
take the pressure off.
Right, they would like to take the pressure off, give the birds a break, because if they're hunting 7 days a week, their birds are not gonna
No
want
birds.
to come to the lake. And that's
You
the
You only
only.
get a few perfect days to hunt ducks though, boys and ladies.
Do we have a motion for staff recommendation?
I move staff recommendation. No had any problem with that.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right.
Thank
Jerry.
you, that's all I have.
So, Parks, Andre?
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you, Gary.
Morning.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
What Kerry just passed out to you guys, we want to propose a fee change for Rule 1.1, state park fees for camping at Buccaneer, GovView sites only. Our current rate right now is $45 a night, and the only thing that it had was, it was a grass area, and just electricity and water. But now we got state-of-the-art campsites that we're building down there. 71 feet is the minimum. We got them all the way up to 89 feet long. Where you could park a car on the side, and you can also, have your aunt in it, where you could just sit up and, sit out back and everything like that. So we highly recommend that we go up from 85 to 190 is a range that we want to try to propose. And we have looked at the surrounding areas down there, and some of the other ones that's doing the same thing. Most of the ones that's down there is gravel campsites, or they nowhere near as long as these that we have here. So we thinking it would be a great time to make that change of going from 85 to 190 range. Yes, sir.
So what is it today?
It's $45 right now is what we were charging, and they didn't have sewer. It was just electricity and water sites, and it was just a grass area where they bagged up to. So this, now that we got a concrete pads that's 71 feet long, nobody else down there in that area has one 75 to 85 feet long. So that's why we wanted to try to propose of going up to 85 to $190 a night, because once we change over to our new reservation system, we'll be able to do dynamic pricing. So when we have seasons, during the summertime, plus also during the holidays, those rates could be enforced. So, and we think it'll be a great opportunity to do dynamic pricing. Other states already doing it. And it'll be a great opportunity to, have a trial down there at Buccaneer. And then if it's working down there, we can kind of spread it across the state.
But you're gonna have the improvements to pull that price.
Well, that's what,
in the other parts.
Oh, yes, sir, for sure. And actually, with some of the funding we got now, that's some of our plans to do, upping our ampage, plus also making our sites longer. So that's our plan. And the thing about it too, I want you guys to know, we have 206 sites in Buccaneer that we're not changing those rates. Those rates will still be $32 a night, so they'll be affordable for anybody that want to come to those sites as well. So we still got 206 sites that we'll be able to have access at $32 a night.
Oh, okay.
These sites right here are
They're the
just
Gulf View, aren't you?
GovView, yes, sir.
That's what they put
I
you
mean,
on.
prime sites.
Yeah.
So, so it's not like we taking from, the customer that want the $32 a night sites. We got those as well.
So you say demolished here.
Glad to clarify.
70.
Yes, sir. Those are the 70 sites that was the grass sites that I was just talking about. They no longer there.
Okay.
So now we put in those 44 sites. And
Okay, go on.
yes, sir, at that same location.
70 grass sites to 44
Yes,
paved
sir.
sites.
Yes, sir.
Does the other sites,
Just have dump.
Well, we have full hookups on those 206 other sites. So you got
All those
electricity and water.
sites are full hookup.
Full hookup, so they don't need to dump. Yes, sir. They got it right there on the sites.
Big deal, man.
And as you see in your package there too, you know, you got a comparison to surrounding campgrounds as well. So that's a comparison that we got from the other campground. A couple of those campgrounds are already doing dynamic prices down there as well. And their sites is nowhere near as nice as what we're building now. And as you see in that booklet, one of them is up to $230 a night during the summertime.
Are we open, you remember that little piece I asked you about?
That eastern parcel?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Actually, we in the works right now. We trying to do 20 to 25 sites over there. We got $1 million allocated for that. So that's our plan for that area right now. And as you see up in there, you can see the sites, how nice they are. And being right there on that gut view, those sites will stay busy all the time.
How long can people rent a site? As long as they want?
Well, see, that's the thing about it. We want to do those first come sites because we don't want somebody to just come in and want to just do a weekend and then we lose out for a whole week, especially during the summertime and the holidays. If I want to come out for the 4th of July, I'm gonna come on that Monday so that I can have it for the whole week. But now if I can reserve it, I'm just gonna reserve it that weekend. So we actually lose it out if we did reservations. So doing it first come would benefit the parks a whole lot better.
Andre, when will the new sites be completed?
Right now, it's tentative for May the 30th. May the 30th is the date. We was hoping to get it for Memorial Weekend, but right now, with the weather, rain and stuff, it just didn't work out for us.
So the new one's not gonna be ready to May 3rd.
Okay, so do we need a motion for these fees?
I move staff recommendation.
Okay.
Mr. Hollis.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank
Thanks.
you,
We look
sir.
forward to being down there in June.
Yes, sir.
Get to see Buccaneer.
That'd be great. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Oh, they do it. They won't stay in campers.
Commissioners, quick update on our March outreach and marketing with our group. So we held the ribbon cutting for the tenter sites. I know y'all know about those at State Park. Their company let us know that we had the best launch of any state that they partner with bookings, and they're continuing to book up. A lot of people are using those, and we're partnering with Tenter. They help promote, they pay for social media ads, and you can do all your reservations and everything through their site as well as ours. So we're excited about that opportunity. We also attended a grits event at Turcotte where we went and took some photos of the ladies there shooting everywhere on the range. Both Mississippi Outdoors TV and our photography crew were there to take that. So we'll be able to use some of that to show some diversity in our photography when we do promoting for ranges and things. So seasonal emails continue to do really well. Just a little info about these. We use these, of course, to inform the public on things, but they're also our great tool for keeping our current customers and reactivating customers that might have fallen off over the years. So each email we send out has at least 3 places that advertise purchasing a license, or maybe it's making a park reservation or downloading one of our apps. So we use it as a marketing tool also to promote our services. Social media continues to do good. One thing to note here, if you see on the Instagram, we had 151,000 accounts reached. Of that, 140 don't follow us. So 140,000. So 140,000 people that we're currently reaching through Instagram that aren't, I would say, our current customer. So really good numbers there. That's what we believe to be attributed to is the style of imagery that we're using there. We're just reaching a younger audience that we don't currently reach on our Facebook platform. But we use both of these tools to, one, inform the public, to promote outdoor recreation, hunting, fishing, all that type of stuff. So we're excited about the way that the social media is going. So there's a little bit of the shoot list from Mississippi Outdoors TV for the past month. As you see, it's slap full with turkey hunts. In 2020, so just for all y'all to know, it usually takes about a year for us to go to a shoot and it to air live on MPB or be streamed on YouTube. In 2020, we didn't have really a single turkey hunt, so this past season, you didn't see turkey hunting in Mississippi on Mississippi Outdoors TV. So we're excited that we've got a full list of turkey hunts this season that we'll be able to promote that in the coming season. The magazine, y'all hopefully have received that. That's the March-April issue. We currently just uploaded the May-June issue, and that will be coming to you pretty soon. So good things going there. And then you've seen just the photography that we participated in. We've got a bass on the cover of the next magazine coming out. It's a kind of a rarity that we have. So we're going to be getting a little bit more diverse covers.
Larry Pugh
coming
did
with.
not catch that.
Oh, no, he didn't set the hook on that one. But one of our fisheries guys did, so they know what they're doing over there. So,
He gets mad.
any questions or anything?
If we want to go see the Tinter, what park you think would be the best one to go to?
Really convenient right here at
It's flooded right now.
well, yeah. Well, you take your boat. Yeah, it's convenient most times, but Roosevelt has it. There's at least one park in each one of your regions, other than the Delta, Commissioner Cooper would. But
We'll
but
try to do that.
yeah,
We'll go
they're
in the
great.
summer when it's nice and hot for
Perfect.
Commissioner Cooper.
Make sure you open up
Put a camera.
the windows to get a good breeze through there. So, but appreciate it. If there's anything else.
Josh, who knows about the statewide archery?
Ames tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like last week or week before?
Yeah,
that?
so we had
They
the
told-
state
told us
tournament.
that it was
Oh,
an
yeah.
overflow crowd.
They did. Our photographer Blythe, she went and attended a couple of days of that to get some updated photos. But yeah, it was a great turnout. And then
I'd
we've
like
got
to get a report on who won,
okay,
what schools
yeah,
won, how many
we'll do
people
that. I'll get that together for you. It's all on our website, but I'll get it to you. But and then also MSSP is coming up for the state shoot here in the capital city. So coming up
We
soon.
went over and attended the archery tournament. It was well attended, and this current cadet class was out there helping with the students in the archery thing, and all the participants were really impressed with the new recruits that we had helping with the
Well,
program.
I know several people that participated, but the spectators said they could not hear what was going on. In other words, who's shooting now, at which school, or it looked like it was, they were just, I mean, it was taken care of, but if you were sitting up in the stands, you didn't have any idea what was going on.
We'll get with Waldo on that. I know the Fordyce Equine Center is kind of a booger
It was
to get.
real
But
noisy.
yeah, it's usually pretty
Real
echo,
noisy.
but
Yeah,
It's tough on us grandfathers.
I know. I wasn't there, I had a great, or whatever, I mean, nephew that won.
well, there you go. Well,
but we didn't
congrats.
hear- But we didn't hear.
Okay.
They couldn't hear that.
Well, we'll take a look at that, and then I'll get you all the.
I really would like to know how many,
updates.
because the report I got back, it was just packed.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, so and we're talking with Angel Charles earlier, just as things evolve with the parks here, and just talking about all the schools coming here and all just like I said, the shooting sports, thousands of kids involved in that, and archery,
Yeah. So,
R3 is just
oh yeah, so
fantastic.
eating up with it. So we're and then with our new license vendor coming soon, and then new parks reservation coming, we're going to have a whole different toolkit to be able to capture and recapture current and future customers too. So we're excited about that.
And thanks for doing the streaming at different locations. The
Whatever we can do. It's all, every day is a different adventure. So
We appreciate it.
all right.
Good job. All right, Colonel Carter, Law Enforcement.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good afternoon. In your package there, our Law Enforcement Bureau for the April Commission meeting, we report as follows. On our license and compliance checks, for the month of March, there were a total of 460 citations issued. The top 5 being no license at 115, trespassing at 51, unlawful possession at 37, hunting turkeys with the aid of bait was 29, and number 5 was no boat registration at 15. On our next page, This is Officer Daniel St. Clair, who was investigating some illegal turkey hunting activity in Jeff Davis County. And while conducting his investigation, he encountered a subject sitting in a camouflage ground blind near a feeder with cracked corn chops. If you look a little closely to your left, you might can find him. The subject was cited for hunting turkey with the aid of bait under our state statute 497101. You see him? Okay.
See the blind?
He's in the blind, yes, sir. He's sitting outside the blind. On our next page is spring turkey season, where officers were conducting compliance checks. This was at one of our state WMAs at Tallahassee. That's Officer Neese and Officer Loper doing checking for turkey hunters. On our next page, happy to announce that our 13 cadets that were at the Mississippi Law Enforcement Officers Training Academy have now officially graduated. They are out at this time with their FTOs and training in their respective counties. I'd like to say that our officers did a fantastic job, outstanding job there at the Malota graduation. Two of our officers won awards. One of our officers, which was Officer Brandon Clark, he won top of the class in all three categories. And Officer Andrew Thomas won the PT award. So congratulations to those officers on the job well done. We're very proud of them. And also like to announce that the graduation for our cadets will be next month on the 26th. That will be at Roosevelt State Park. So we do hope you all will come out for that graduation. We'd love to have you. We'll be graduating 21. We started out with 21. We finished with 21.
You got another class started?
We got another class going to start the 2nd of next month. Yes, sir. 15.
15 new ones.
15 new ones. Yes, sir. Last but least, it's our shooting range report from March 13th through April 10th, 2022. MacGyver had a total of 801 customers. Turcotte had a total of 524, and McHenry had a total of 527 customers. That is my report for law enforcement.
Did, the MacGyver, when they have them, when they're up like that, is that probably because of an event like a student shooting event?
It could be a shooter sport event or something that they just probably somebody just put together. Yeah.
Say again, guys? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
McHenry, what's the time frame completion of that?
Trail is still under construction. It has some delays with rain and communication, so we don't
The next month? Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, Colonel, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Other business, Drew Malone.
Yeah, this is an executive order to close Wolf Lake. This is something that comes before the commission really about every year at this time when it floods. So it's purely a safety issue that all recreational boating activities on the lake has been suspended due to the emergency flooding and the high water that's resulted in the lake. The executive director issues an executive order closing it, and then the commission just needs to ratify it. I thought we did that already. It comes around frequently, but we haven't done this one yet.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second it.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next commission meeting will be at the headquarters. There's a fallen officer memorial service at 10, which I encourage everyone to come to. It's a very moving service to honor those officers, their families, and it's really special.
I understand our governor's gonna be the.
And the governor,
Gonna be the speaker.
Governor Reeves has graciously agreed to come speak at it, so we appreciate that. And that'll be on Thursday, May 19th, is that correct?
That's it.
Okay. I think we have a need for executive session. So we have a motion.
I need a motion. Second.
Motion's made and seconded for executive session. All in favor?
All right. The commission has voted there is a need to make the determination to go into executive session. The meeting will now be closed to make that determination. Because there's so many people in here, then commissioners will move next door to make that discussion, and I'll come back and make an announcement at that time. So at this time, we're moving to make the determination to go into executive session.
Time for it.
10 o'clock. So next door, and I'll come back and make the announcement.
Okay, so we'll go next door to the conference room. Everybody stay, stay here, and then you can leave.
Same day.
The commission has entered into executive session to discuss personnel matters involving job performance of specific employees and the prospective purchase of land. In the event a decision is made in executive session that requires an announcement to be made, then I will come back and make that announcement. Otherwise, y'all can leave.